I'm Adam. I'm costume designer from season 1 and 2 of Heartstopper, and I'm doing an interview for Sound of Series. So I got into being a costume designer. I went to university to do theatre design because I'd kind of got into doing backstage theatre stuff at secondary school and had kind of gotten interested in behind the scenes. And then at university, I used to sort of start doing lighting, sound, a bit of set, a bit of costume, but I ended up specialising in costume more as the course went on. And then when the course finished and I graduated, I did window dressing for a bit in central London in shops and stuff. But eventually I got a trainee job in TV, working with a costume department on a British TV series. I think I've just worked my way up from then, really, which takes a little while, but got there eventually. I think what a costume designer does really, it's kind of quite collaborative. So it's visual storytelling, which is a combination of what the actor does and their casting and their performance and things like the production design, hair and makeup. And I think costume is just another part of that visual storytelling process, really, giving the character some personality through the clothing choices that you make. And then obviously as the costume designer, you're responsible for those choices and working collaboratively with the actor during fittings to kind of find what that character's personality and look might be, if that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a complex job. It's not just sourcing the clothes and or hiring or fit, making the clothes, whichever way that production is. There's other elements to it. Kind of budgeting. You have to be kind of aware of budget and costs and working to those kind of not restrictions, but yeah, I kind of guess they are restrictions. I think also sometimes you have to be a bit of a magician with what you have to do because if you were filming everything in story order as it is in the script, you'd have time to work on things that are maybe at the end of the schedule, and that would be a lot of an easier process. But half the time you read the scripts and then you find the schedule maybe brings forward a lot of things because of filming for like season 2, for instance. It was all set in summer, but we filmed mainly in autumn into winter. We had to film a lot of the exterior scenes first, so that meant kind of things like the prom and the bonfire party. You had to do all of that at the beginning of filming the season. Yeah, it's quite a lot sometimes. You have to get quite a lot done quite quickly. You kind of have some responsibility for everyone on your team, and you do that with your supervisor who helps you, but you kind of are responsible for. I think research-wise, you're really lucky with Heartstopper that the graphic novels exist, kind of like a visual representation of some of the work. And obviously, there's a lot of fan art out there. There's quite a big fan base who draw and recreate a lot of the images from the graphic novels. So although you're not completely copying it, there is this kind of, you have to kind of honor that artwork. But it's a really good place to start from, and then looking at kind of Gen Z fashions and what people from that age group are kind of wearing day to day. There's like, you can look on social media and things, and there's a lot of kind of real life images of what people are wearing, so that's quite useful, I think. And just looking online on shopping websites and fashion articles and just getting a really good idea of what might help 2D drawings in the books to something kind of 3D. I think faithful to certain parts of it. It definitely has to refer to the original artwork. And I think things like the school uniforms, so trying to work out how you would physically create that from something that's in a drawing. Obviously, there's quite easy, well, not easy, but easier to draw a school uniform than it is necessarily. You then have to find it and find something that, with your budget, you can recreate for, up to 200 background as well as the main cast. So there's that. But then also, I guess things like there was the snow day scenes in the books that fans really recognize, and they really love those moments. So to kind of get those elements in and to try and make it look like the comics, I think that's really important to the fans. I think it was important to Alice as well. Thinking of other examples, also the shoes, that's on a lot of the Converse and the Vans that they both wear. So I think those things really had to be part of it because they're really big parts of Charlie and Nick's personalities that are ingrained in all the illustrations, really. It's just lovely that it has been so anticipated. It's just an honour to work on it, really, because it's just such a nice production to be part of. There's just such a lovely cast and crew, and it's fun to work on. Obviously, there's always the stresses that you get in working in TV, but generally it's a really lovely job. So that kind of, I don't know, takes away the fear maybe that a lot of people are going to watch it. I think it's more just enjoying the process and the creativity that you get on it, really. I think there's a level of expectation from all the fans, what they want to see from the novels. So I think as long as you are honouring that and referencing that, and you've got Alice there all the time who, it's her product, isn't it? So you feel like you're kind of on the right lines if they're all happy. So lots of it, really. I mean, it's lovely trying to find the characters, because you've got obviously Nick and Charlie, who, the graphic novels are about really from the beginning, but you have new characters in there like Isaac and Imogen. So that's really fun, trying to work with them and with Alice and trying to work out what their personalities and characters are and how you'd get that into their looks. So that's really quite fun, because that's quite interesting. But also, I think because it is kind of a slightly hyper reality show, so it's kind of based in real world, or it is based in real world, but the way that the animation is that's from the book into the TV series and the use of all the music, that kind of gives it this sort of extra reality, really. You can kind of go a bit out of normality with some of the clothes. So I think that gave us some really nice opportunities. And in season 1 we did the thing with Tara and Darcy at the party when they kiss, and their costumes transform slightly with all the crystals, which is under the lighting. That looked really nice. That was fun to do. And then we wanted to do something similarly transformative in season 2. So we did that in the prom with Tao and Elle. So we built little elements into her dress, and Tao's suit that went under the UV lighting would kind of transform, and we had the little hearts show up on Tao's blazer. So I think that was really fun. That was really nice to do. Nice to have those creative challenges, I think. I think a few things, really. One, I think it does help the actor. It gives them kind of stepping out from their own personality into the characters. I think that's a useful tool for them to look slightly different if they can, and find all those little traits. And that's something you kind of work on with the actors in the fitting process. They often have ideas that they think their character might do or wear, and we can experiment with those and come to something together. I think also it's part of helping the audience to sort of make those characters more recognizable instantly. If they all have their different looks and their different personalities, it just makes it more for the audience, isn't it, to kind of engage with. And so I think that's quite important. From my experience, trying to get in as a trainee somewhere, there are kind of schemes and things. I think in the UK there's Screen Skills, which is quite useful for finding trainees. I don't know if there's something similar in France. And if you can get in as a trainee on a production, just to learn as much as you can, really, from all the different people that you're working with. I mean, I was lucky to work with lots of different costume designers over the years on different jobs, and they all work slightly differently or have different strengths. And it's really interesting to just watch what costume designers are like when they're doing fittings, and how they work with the actors, and things like how they talk with the directors. There's just a lot to learn, really. And you might not necessarily do a course and then become a trainee and then really become a costume designer. There's so many different elements to costume departments in TV. So you've got people who do fittings, you've got makers, you've got people who look after the actors on set, people who look after crowd more than the principal actors. So I think you have to kind of experience some of those other roles, really, and experience kind of being on set and all the different elements that will become important to your job, really, as you end up kind of getting more costume design work, which can be quite a long process to get to. But and obviously there's people may start out thinking they want to be a costume designer, and then might enjoy being a supervisor more, or an assistant designer. There's sort of different ways I think you can branch off into the costume industry.